I am Moonshen Andalusia.
And we are Geeks with Kids, not bi-weekly. We do podcasts sometimes. We release
Yeah.
things when it comes out. The last one we did was a review of Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. I think that's what it was
Mhm.
called. Great game. Did you
Yeah.
end up playing it?
I did. I started pretty heavy into it. I played it for like a week. I kinda put it down. I haven't gone back to it yet, but I am actually kinda eager to get back to it now.
It is up there in my favorite games of the year. So I look forward to,
Oh,
you know, getting to it. Oh no. Oh yeah, you're back.
yeah, there was a little freeze there on your end, but on my end too, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There I have three that are really close, like stylistically, and we'll talk about that in like a month or two when we get to that.
Okay.
I guess that's we're getting there. So today we're gonna talk about From, the Epic slash MGM Plus show that just recently premiered its third season. It originally released on February 2022, and it's sort of this science fiction-y horror show. We'll talk about
Yeah.
it. We'll talk about it more in detail when we get to there. But like I always do, I'm joined with Hawk this week to talk about
Hey.
this amazing show. The show that is really hard to find, apparently, says everyone that we talk to. Um, yeah, but before we do that, we're going to talk about things we really like the things we're really down with, the
Hmm.
things we're currently
You mean
enjoying.
you mean like, something that's kind of like a yum?
Yeah, it's so it nourishes your soul. It's so yummy.
Hmm.
Yum. So Hawk, what's your yum this week?
Oh my god, what have I been into? Let me think. Oof.
Warriors, come out and play! Yay, yay, yay!
No, haven't gotten into that. I did get into that Menendez series that's on Netflix, currently. It's from Ryan Murphy, who brought us the Dahmer, miniseries last year, I think, or a year or 2 before that. Now he's tackling the case of the Menendez brothers,
I heard
in
there's
the
a lot of like controversy about this show.
There really is, because I watched the whole thing kinda based on friends' recommendations and that. I remember it obviously from, when I was a teenager, the whole thing was like, that propellant for, the inauguration of court TV. It was the first, like, trial of its scope that was televised live to the world, so and the media speculation and adaptation of the story was absolutely insane. I can remember at least, like, 3 or 4 different, like, media productions that kinda that tapped into that story, from Law& and Order on to other things,
Hmm.
to The Sopranos, actually. The Menendez brothers got a shout out in the first season of The Sopranos.
Jeez Louise. I remember that going on, like, I remember the trial happening on TV. I was fairly young. I feel like I was like 10 or something when it came on, when it
Yeah, I
happened.
imagine, yeah, you were definitely a lot younger than me because the trial didn't actually take place till about '94.
So I was 13.
Yeah.
So it's
I
around the same time as OJ on TV too.
The apparently the coincidence of that and the Menendez brothers actually goes back a lot further. Their dad was the one who signed O.J. Simpson to do the Hertz commercial for Hertz car rentals.
Well, whoo. The I heard
But as
I heard there's a depiction of the two Menendez brothers that's very controversial in the show, like a little bit of incesty type.
there's speculation about that, but the thing is the story is a little confusing because it tries to take into account every different aspect of that. Was the dad abusing them? New revelations about the father's like life and that suggests that possibly they were telling the truth about that.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it's but in with everything that was happening, like, them lying about the murder, about not knowing who murdered the parents, to their confessions, to a really sleazy psychiatrist, to um, a prosecution accusing them of making up the story based on a book that they had read. Everything got really confused, but apparently this miniseries and the documentary that went along with it um, kicked off like a bit of a firestorm in the media, and that now people are saying like, this happened to them. Maybe they should be out by now. It has been like nearly 30 years since they've been in prison.
I honestly, so very little do I know about this case other than the notoriety around it.
Mhm.
Huh. So, and I do like Ryan Murphy things in general. So,
Episode 5 is probably a most unique episode of a series you're probably gonna watch this year. The entire
ooh,
thing takes place from one single camera angle that slowly pans in over the course of about 35 minutes to
damn,
Eric Menendez as he's relaying, like, his story of what happened in that house.
that's really interesting. I love when
Very
shows do things like that.
Oh, yeah. A single take, like, a single take for him doing that entire script and that like, that entire monologue, uh, it sticks out.
Hmm. Maybe I'll have to check it out. There's a lot
Mhm.
of good TV this year, I feel.
Mhm.
Like we're gonna talk about later. Personally, I've been watching I watched this last night as I was doing some artwork for our other podcast. Um it's called Fanatical, the catfishing of Tegan and Sarah. It's on Disney Plus. And it's about um this event that happened to Tegan and Sarah, who's an amazing band. But they were
Yeah,
catfish like
Canadian superstars.
yeah. Tegan was catfished for years, and I think it started in early 2010s, and or even earlier than that. They're sort of trying to figure out the timeline, and then it goes to like 2018 or 2019 or something like that. Like it was years and years of catfishing, and like this, they called the fake Tegan Fegan, which I think is really hilarious. Fake Tegan, and like this person would have like correspondences. They would know things about their family that they didn't disclose to the public. They would send out like demos of songs that they never released to the public and would have
Like
fake
where do
relationships with
you
fans. Yeah.
where does a person come across that, like, kind of material? Like, yeah, when you mentioned that to me, I thought it has to be somebody close
Or
because
some yeah.
yeah.
It could
What
be
that
someone
rem
hacking like an account or something. Like
Mhm.
like like I remember the 20 to the 2000s to the early 2010s. We didn't do anything. Like our security was garbage for
Mhm.
everything, right? Everything. So
Yes.
I could see like they don't even know if it was like their management who did it or like they don't know. They don't know. It's crazy. It's crazy the amount, and it's like it wears on them like because it also like wore down like their relationships and their friends and stuff like that because they would involve them or like I guess there was also like a Facebook profile that was a fake Tegan and like their real friends would be commenting on the page and stuff like that. It
How can you
insane.
how could that not drive a person insane? Especially, like, somebody with stardom and that, like
Mhm.
they do and that, and has a fan relationship, uh, that's being basically just perverted by some stranger posing as them.
And they were so good with with their fans. Like when they were still like the indie pop, like not even the pop stuff, like the folky music. Like
Mhm.
they used to like go and hang out with fans like at their shows. Like why like
Yeah.
a lot of Canadian bands do that.
Yeah.
Like Tegan and Sarah were already big when they were still doing that.
Mhm. I still remember them, like, they what was it, about the mid to late '90s and that they were kinda this, uh, a heralded folk duo.
Yeah, like the
Uh,
late 90s, yeah.
I remember Neil Young actually got them to open concerts and that.
Yeah, he
Uh,
discovered them ish.
yeah.
Yeah. Like that
Mm.
that's like their story is really quite good. Like I fully recommend this documentary. It's really interesting. It's on Disney Plus, so you know, check it out. I don't know if that's in the States too, but it is in Canada.
Yeah, apparently. We got shouted down by our friend Giraffe and that when we recommended From, and she's like, "It's not anywhere here. Where is it? It's not on Paramount Plus."
And which
It's
is
like,
here in Canada, but
oh, Canada.
it's in MGN Plus in the States, which we didn't even know was a thing. I don't
We
know.
discover something new every day.
Oh, so messed up. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to mention before we do. What else is good? What else is good? Let me think.
Hmm.
As I keep on. Oh, Lin Manuel Miranda came out with the Warriors musical, which is it's amazing. I'm a really big Lin Manuel Miranda fan. Obviously, we had
Yeah.
a whole episode about Hamilton. I'm sure we talked about or not Into the Woods, In the Heights as well, but I can't remember.
Mhm.
We've done a couple of musical episodes. And it really does make me want to do a music episode again before the end of the year. We haven't
We
done one in
haven't
a
done
while.
a long time.
but
Hmm.
like like it's really good. Like I think it's really good. It showcases a different style for him. It's a lot harder, which makes sense considering they're gangs, right? Um,
Yeah, yeah. It's
the
a it's a loaded cult film,
Yeah.
very influential in the hip hop community.
Mhm.
Especially throughout the '90s, there was always references in
Can
albums.
you dig it?
Secret! George Clinton.
Oh, his voice is so good. I haven't seen that movie in like maybe 15 years, so I watched it again this week and I was like, "Yes, I remember all of this." Although I
I
got the
know.
director's cut and I don't know what's different in the director's cut. Because I don't remember the original one apparently.
Mhm.
Or maybe
I
I've just
remember.
always known the director's cut.
I know I've seen the original at least a couple times.
Mhm.
Never the director's cut. It's always funny, like seeing like young actors, like
James Remar.
James Remar. I can't remember his name right now, but he played one of the Horn brothers from Twin Peaks. He's the guy who actually does the Warriors line.
Oh, with that ding ding ding
Yep,
ding ding
didn't
ding.
come out and play. But yeah, he played one of the Horn brothers in Twin Peaks.
um, Brent wrote, "So now when I hear Warriors come out and play, I hear The Offspring." That's really funny.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. These cult film.
So
Uh,
good.
and its adaptation into a musical. I mean, like, I think that at one point there was a time when that would have been kind of ridiculed and that, but you know what? Like, yeah, a lot of like cult films get the musical treatment, don't they?
Yeah, for sure.
Um,
And
yeah,
books and stuff like that. Um,
sure.
this and like the Warriors are an all-female gang in this one, and they only had one all-female gang in the movie, the Lizzies. Lizzies?
Yep.
Yeah, the Lizzies,
I think it was the
which was a
Lizzies.
very
Yeah.
on the nose name. Especially when you're watching this movie as like a teenager, you're like, wait a minute, they're called the Lizzies.
I think that means something else.
um, this is just a concept album right now, but it's like
Mhm.
it's very David Patrick Kelly is what Brent said. The guy
Oh.
is that
Okay. For the one who played, yeah.
yeah,
Clink, clink, clink.
clink clink
Yeah.
clink.
Okay.
Um,
Yep.
so the concept album has a lot of like former like musical people that he's worked with in Hamilton. There's also people in like the biggest musicals like Hades and stuff. They're all in this, but they got Ms. Lauren Hill to play Cyrus on the
Yes.
album, which is what I didn't I've heard that I listened to the album when it came out on I think was it Thursday I was talking to you guys about it or Friday?
Yeah, it was a
Something like
little
that.
later of last week. So
Yeah,
yeah,
so one of those days I was like I've been listening to it ever since, but I never read the the cast to it, and I was like Lauren Hill, and then you're listening to it like you that is definitely Lauren Hill's voice as Cyrus, and it's just
that's so cool.
perfect. She's perfect
Yeah,
in that role.
yeah.
Like who else could you pick? Well, there's a couple other people I could pick, but you know that is a good pick. Yeah, so check it
That's a
out.
very good pick.
It's on Disney. And not no, it's not. It's on Disney. It's on all the streaming services, and Apple and all that stuff.
Just find it.
Yeah,
Google it.
Spotify, Apple Music. It's out there somewhere. Yeah. So let's talk about from the
Yeah.
show as I try and find the tab that I have all the info on. From, which is stylized as capital FROM. I'm gonna switch over to the. Hey, now we have the background trailer things going. So From came out on February 2022 on Epix, which is a channel in the States, I guess.
I
We
guess.
do we have that? I don't think we have that,
No,
right?
no, I've never heard of it.
Me neither.
Never. No.
So the series is a American science fiction horror television series. It was created by John Griffin, and it stars Harold Perrineau, Catalina Sandino Moreno, Ion Bailey, Eon Bailey,
I
Ion
think it's pronounced. I think it's pronounced Ian.
Ian. Oh,
Ian.
that makes sense. Oh,
Yeah.
one of those names.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Irish.
Irish people. David Alpay, Elizabeth Sanders, Scott McCord, and Ricky He in the main roles. This show, it's so weird to talk about because me and you both got into the show like 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago now.
Maybe around that time, I'd say, probably a little over a month ago, but for some reason, you and I kind of coincided on that. I was actually going to bring it up the last time. I was going to come on the podcast, and this was definitely going to be my yum.
Hmm.
But I didn't end up making it because I hadn't played the game at that point and that blah blah blah. But I mentioned to you that this was the one I was going to be bringing to the table and that, and you were like, "I'm watching that too,"
I
and I was
just started watching it, and I started watching it like this. I just wanted to talk about how we both got into it. I saw a bunch of articles come out, I guess, because season 3 was coming out, and they're like, "This is the best show no one is watching," or
like,
"Do you like Lost? You should watch this show." And I'm like, "I like Lost. I love Lost. I like watching these shows." And then they kept on showing this picture of Harold Perrineau, like looking frightened because there's that dude behind him with he looks like the Joker.
"Yep,
And you're just like, "Fuck, what is this show?" So
I know."
I didn't even read the premise. I watched the first episode and I was like, "Oh my god, what is this?" And then obviously I watched the rest of it in preparation of season 3. How did you get into this?
It basically started as like a couple of YouTube shorts. In particular, it was one from season 2, which I know we're not talking about, but had to do with a particular person and his living accommodations and how they provided quite this, panoramic view of what was happening outside. And then the gathering of
Oh,
of
oh,
the yeah, that was a YouTube short, and I caught it, and there was just something about it. It was the oddity of like the monsters in this uh project. Basically, like to describe them, they look human, but they also look like basically bad copies or facsimiles of what a person is supposed to look like,
yeah,
as they just appear and they're leering through doors and the way they speak. And then you find out usually when it's too late for one of the characters that they're not really human at all. No.
yeah. Um,
Yeah.
the premise that they write on Wikipedia. I'm sorry, I'm using that as a reference. In a
Yeah.
nightmarish town somewhere in the United States that traps those who enter, unwilling residents strive to stay alive, plagued by terrifying nocturnal creatures from the surrounding forest, and search for a way out, looking for secrets hidden within the town and beyond. The series centers around Boyd Stevens, who's played by Harold Perrineau, the self-appointed sheriff and de facto mayor. I guess he's not. I don't think he's that a mayor.
He's the leader in that town.
Yeah.
So
But also Donna.
mhm.
It also centers on the Matthews family, new arrivals to the town who soon discover that they are trapped along with the other existing residents and must work together to stay alive and find a way to escape. I think that is a very apt premise, and I like um like like I said earlier. So we talked about it's a horror series created John Griffin. We talked about the thing. That's the main premise. I'm going through my outline. Um,
Mhm.
like it's such an eerie premise for a show, and like it immediately gets you in the first episode. Like we're gonna not,
Really?
so we're not gonna spoil the show because we
Yeah.
really want everyone to watch the show. It's hard enough to find a show that's on MGM Plus and Paramount in Canada. um, so if you can get it, like definitely watch the show. We're not gonna spoil it because it's that good. It would be like spoiling Lost, right?
Yeah, pretty much, and also mm, also it encounters that same difficulty of, like, if you were trying to describe Lost to a friend and that,
Mm.
like, how would you do it?
People trapped on
Is
an
it
island. Mysterious
it's
things happen.
mysterious things happen, they're on an island, but are they on an island? We don't know, and this is the exact same situation with From. These people come from a lot of different places, we find out. We know that they're in some sort of isolation with this town. We don't know why. We don't know what keeps them there. Um, the flow of life just kind of keeps going on for them. And
Yep.
in a strange twist in the show, their amenities and everything in this seemingly deserted town are still available. And that they have running water, they have electricity. There's even animals that just kind of wander in.
Yeah.
You know,
Let's talk about the beginning of the first episode because they sort of set it up right away. So we were following this family, the Matthews, who are Ian Bailey. I was like Ian Bailey, who plays Jim Matthews, the father. There's Catalina Sandino Moreno, who plays Tabitha, his wife. And then they have their kids, who are why I don't Julie, right? And
you have
Ethan.
Julie
Julie
and
and
Ethan.
Ethan, their kids.
Yeah.
I can't find their cast list. I do like their
Eh,
actors.
the
Um
actors are good.
Hannah Hannah Cherami as Julie and Simon Webster as Ethan Matthews. You know, when I started watching the show, and you're like you see the first little bit, and you see this little kid and his teenage sister bugging him on this road trip. Part of me was sitting there as like, I saw the article. It said it's like Lost. Is this going to be like Walt? Is this kid going to be fucking annoying like Walt? And he's not, which is very
No,
strange. Like he has this eeriness around him, and there's a mystery around him. And I, even as we're into season 3, which is premiered, and we're halfway through the season, we're at episode 5 now. There's still a mystery surrounding him, which I like, and he hasn't turned annoying.
it's weird. He has a connection to the town already, and that
Mhm.
he's able to see things and that a lot of people aren't, including this a little boy in white that keeps appearing to him,
Mhm.
um, which is not one of the monsters. It's something else altogether. Um,
I
yeah,
keep on I keep on going into these characters before talking about the premise of the first episode. I know I want to talk about each of the characters too. So
yeah.
we see this family, they're driving around, and then they sort of get stuck by this giant tree, and they're like, "Oh fuck." They get out, they're like, "Oh, I guess we can't move this." Obviously, who tries to move a giant tree?
Nobody does. You
No.
can't move a
I
giant
I love
tree.
when people do that. They're like, "Well," the dad's pushing, he's like, "Can't move this." I'm like, "How?"
No, of course you can't.
But then Ethan comes out, and then all these ravens, right? Now crows. Are they
I
ravens?
believe
Were
I
they
don't
crows?
know. They
They're
might be crows.
blackbirds.
Yeah,
S
basically, like, it's just an entire murder of blackbirds and that seem to just come out of nowhere from the trees.
And they're just, like,
Uh,
staring them down.
yeah.
So the family obviously gets back into their car, and they turn around, they start driving, and they come upon this town. And they're like, "Okay, that's cool." They I think they talk to Boyd, right? And they're like, because Boyd stops them on the road. The Boyd is the sheriff, Harold Perrineau. And
Yeah.
he's like, "You know what? Yeah, just keep going down the road. You'll see what the deal is." And they keep going around, and they just keep on ending up in the town, which is insane. And you just realize you're like, "Oh fuck, this they're trapped now." They actually end up putting down some spikes, right, for them, or
Yeah.
is that later? No, that is them.
I think so. Oh, that spike pit, that was back from season 1. I can't
No,
remember
no,
that
I
too well.
remember what happened. So
Okay.
they put down the spikes, but they just missed them. So they're hoping to get them the next round that they go through the town. But as they're driving down the road, they get distracted and they get in a collision with another car, right? And that causes a car crash. And obviously, insanity happens because Boyd comes out. He's like, "You have to go when it gets dark here. Things get fucked up."
Yeah.
And you're just sitting there like, "This is 20 minutes into the show. What is happening?" Um, like just the perfect opening, and then you hear the voices start coming in the dark, and then you see people walking up, and you're like, "Oh no!" But
But
Boyd also has this like talisman that he hangs from the thing. Like there's a
it
lot
gets
of mysteries that's building up just in that first like 30 minutes.
yeah, and it just gets more nuts from there as, like, kind of the history of it, is relayed to you throughout the show. You find out that not everybody has been there as long as the others. Some have been there only, like, a few months and that.
Mhm.
Some of them have been there for years
Yeah,
and years.
and one person
Uh,
has been there for decades.
yeah,
Just one.
and we also come to know that the measure of safety that the town does have from these ghouls that come out at night was only because of Boyd, and that people have been there a lot longer and have had to make their way, survive, and that without, like, what Boyd finds eventually.
Which are these
Boy,
talismans?
Boyd is a very complicated character. He's very good in the series.
I can't
Yeah,
wait to talk about him. He's so
yeah.
good. Harold
Uh,
Perrineau, such a good
uh,
actor. Such a good
he just
actor.
He goes from the success to success to success. I've been watching Harold Perrineau since probably the late '90s, and that when I was introduced to Oz and his
Yeah.
character, who was basically like not only a character in the show and that, but it was also the narrator,
Oh, I didn't know
throughout the
that.
entire
I
yeah
gotta watch Law. I gotta watch Oz.
throughout the entire series. He had some great like these little narrations and that they go into these asides and that, and he just like just drop these amazing facts on you. It's when I learned the first time I ever learned that America has 25% of the world's prison population
Yep.
was because of him on Oz.
I love when shows like just give you the best like random information. Um, uh, yeah. Oh man. We talked about how the show starts and how the premises really. So from this point on, we find out these people are trapped. Yes. And there's no way to go out. But that's where we're gonna. I don't think we're gonna talk about more about the plot because as one more thing about the plot.
Mhm.
There are certain people in the town that seem to be affected more. Like we were talking about with Ethan, he could see a little boy in white, but there's also like Sarah who can hear voices, and then a
Mhm.
couple other people end up hearing other voices or seeing visions and stuff. Um, which is where sort of we get that sort of similarity to like Lost, right? Because we had like um what was his name?
Which
Don't open the hatch. The numbers are bad. The
Oh,
numbers are bad.
Hurley?
Hurley.
Hurley.
Like he had things like that, right? Um,
Yeah.
so
It's weird, and also it's very subtle in this show, but you get the feeling that there's an underlying current that people bring a lot of their problems to the town, and the town kinda reciprocates
mhm.
those, their fears, their anxieties, their traumas. Uh
There's a theme, something that the cast or the people in the town themselves often bring up. They're like, "Is this a place that it's punishing us because of our past actions?" Um, which even that was a theme on Lost too, right? Like people are like,
Mhm.
We're trapped there because we did bad things. I was in a rock band that was bad or something like that."
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
things like that. Like it's such the morality play in this show is really interesting, especially from each of the main characters. Let's talk about the main characters. Is there anything else we want to talk about for the premise? Because I don't think
Mm,
there's more we can talk about without it being spoilerish. No, wait. There's one other thing. The town
okay.
is divided into two sections. The house on the hill, which I can't remember its name anymore because they
They
don't use
call
it
they
anymore.
they would call it Colony House at the time.
Colony House. And then they have the main town, which is houses and then a motel sign for some reason, and a diner. And it's split up sort of like in two sections of a whole, right? If you want to go to the colony house, you go there and that's where you live as a commune, basically.
Yeah,
And then if you want to go back to the town, you have rules and that whole thing, right? You live in
yeah.
a society. Oh God, why did I say that? I'm gonna think
Yeah, and that's another element of is, like, people in this desperate situation and that, like and Boyd is the one trying to keep them functioning as a society,
yeah.
instead of just running willy-nilly into the night and just, for lambs to the slaughter.
Yeah, like a lot. What I what I figured is that, or at least what I assume, is that a lot of the people that are in the town now are sort of newer. They aren't from like when Boyd came, because
Mhm.
before Boyd they would be hiding in holes in random spots before, and then they would just sort of hope to be alive the next day. Um,
Yeah.
they actually show this in an episode later, like how they used to be. So I feel like there's sort of this comfort that Boyd is there amongst the town because they're just like, well, he's gonna just tell us what to do.
Yeah.
But they don't really understand. Um,
And also
yeah,
also there's that interplay of, like, the person in charge is also the person who is when they're in charge, they're not just, the saviors, "Yay, you're great." All the problems and every misstep and every death comes back to,
to haunt you.
put it haunts him, it divides the town, and he is, and sometimes he's their savior, but sometimes they also blame him for not doing enough.
Yeah. There's only so much this one amazing actor can do. Harold Perrineau as Boyd Stevens, he's sort of the self-appointed sheriff. Like he sort of got just placed in that role. He was a military man before he had come to this town, and he was a logistics person, so he tried to figure out
Yeah.
how to do
He would
things.
he would manage operations and
Yeah.
that, then he's really the only one that came into that town with that kind of that background,
Yeah.
which is why he wound up in the position of leadership.
What's great about this show is that, like Lost, they do some backstory episodes where you find out more about these characters. And
Mhm.
Boyd is one of the main characters, so he definitely gets one of those episodes later on. We won't spoil it, obviously.
Yeah.
What do you think of Harold Perrineau's portrayal of Boyd? This father who's estranged from his son in the first season. um, who's really trying to, you know, lead this town and just try and keep people alive.
Yeah, I mean, like, in the history of his characters, this is definitely one of the darkest.
Mhm.
Yes, Lloyd is the one everybody looks to in that. He was the one who finds the answer in that to keep them safe at night. Um, when he got to the town, yes, he was the one in charge of like organizing the operations. To keep them safe. Like they were hiding in holes at night, and he figured out a system in that to keep rotating in that to always throw these monsters off balance. Uh, but also, he is the one who kind of tries to push the town. The town kind of can fall into some complacency in that. It's like people, once they got their routine down, Colony House enjoyed its time in that. Like, other people were, just trying to keep life stable,
Yeah.
after so much, like, after fearing for their safety every single night, they got some stability. But his character is still trying to find answers. It was him that found it was his initial push to find answers that, gave the town their protection at night, but also
And a lot of their resources.
and a lot of the resources too. Um, but he takes on you see he takes on so much of that pressure in that because he
Mhm.
keeps pushing himself into more and more and more dangerous situations in that just in trying to find the way out.
Yeah, and you can
Um,
definitely see how much it wears on him. Like even from the first episode, he has a deputy, but there's only so much he can handle that way because he wants. I feel like he has this need to be the person that people will blame, or like he doesn't want that blame to go on other people. Like he
mhm.
can take it. He already feels a lot of guilt for certain events that happened to him in the past.
Yep,
So I
in that town, yep.
he has sort of this, I don't want to say martyred like type.
It's
It's
easy to say martyr in that, but no.
no.
Um,
He hit
it's more yeah.
so go for it.
I mean, he's, oh, what's that Gary Cooper film? High Noon, I think it is, and
Mhm.
that, when none of the townspeople will help out.
Yeah.
It's all on him. Like the town people, they want to get out. They're trying to, but at the same time, every single night they are terrified.
And they don't know
Uh,
what would they do. Like they don't these are normal people. Like how would they survive in the like we find out a lot of people, these people are just like people from like the city, many cities.
yeah.
That was cool. Like they have a map where they showed all of the different towns that they go, but they all end up in this
All
one random spot. I assume that's where
from
the
all
name
across
from.
America,
Is that where
right?
from comes from? I don't think they've ever explained the name
They've
from.
never really gotten into the actual kind of origin of the name, but I mean that's as good a theory as any in that because like every single person there is from some different location.
Mhm. Mhm, for
Yeah.
sure. Um, and, like, because he is a military person, he has the survival skills to go out and try and figure out things. These woods, they no one wants to go out. That's where the I wanna call them the others, but that's from Lost. These creatures come from. Like, there's just so much that is unknown because this is a random town. Like there's things happening that would never happen anywhere else. There
Yeah.
are the laws of physics don't necessarily apply here. Um, there, like it's so it's so insane to think what these people can do and how this one person who ends up becoming their leader has to deal with all of these people. And
Yep.
like, could you imagine a whole town just over the span of a week being like, okay, you're the person that we're gonna rely on all the time. He
Yeah.
actually he goes down the street ringing a bell, telling people to go inside because it's getting dark.
Hmm.
Like he puts it up
Uh,
on himself.
Yep, and also a lot of responsibilities, like we find out in that he also has to maintain law and order in this town. And we find out in this, I think it was around episode 3 in that how like how people are punished for not following the
I think
rules.
it's in the first episode you find out about the box
Did we
because
find out about the box in the first episode?
the thing with the family happens in the first
Yeah,
episode.
but he doesn't go in the box until at least episode 3, I
Until
think.
yeah, we get to meet him a little bit more
Yeah.
before the box. Um, and, one other thing about Harold Perrineau is he's a phenomenal actor. Like you can see. you can see when things are weighing him down and like, or just things are building within him, but he won't say anything. Like you could just see it in him, the way he talks, the way he acts, um, the way he interacts with other characters on the show. It's there's this amazing speech in season 3, episode 5, which is the episode that just came out. Right at the end of the episode, and you're sitting there like, "Fuck yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing!" You're saying everything that should be said to these people right now, and they need to hear it. They need to hear it, especially with the way they treated him earlier in that episode.
I
Um,
know.
Oh man, there's a fun theory about Tabitha that I'm going to talk about later. Let's
Okay.
talk about the Matthews family. This is the new these are the people that are basically the audience's eyes into this town. Like they're new to it and they're sort of discovering everything as it's going on. And so we get Jim, who's a roller coaster engineer. It was such a random profession that you're sitting there like, okay, you could have just said engineer, but I like that you went with specific roller coaster engineer. His wife, Tabitha, I don't think they ever explain if she did anything. I don't recall.
I don't remember them explaining any jobs of hers, but, it
It's not
kinda
important.
not really, no.
Yeah. And then we have Julie and Ethan, the kids.
Mhm.
Like we said earlier, Ethan is sort of the most important out of these.
He kinda is,
Yeah.
you get the impression early on that he has a connection to this place
Yeah.
that goes beyond everybody else's as he, starts to see things that other people can't. He has a child's approach to the entire thing, like, when they go out and try to get answers, he calls them quests,
Yeah.
you know?
Because
He
of a
approaches.
there's a book that he is very fond of. It's called the Crumknuckle, I think, or something like that. The
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Crumknuckle,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is basically like a knight in shining armor type story where he goes out on quests and he fights dragons and that's the hero's quest, the
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. Um, and Julie is basically your typical teenager in that thrust into a situation she has no control over. She is doing her best to try and help with maintaining the keeping the family together in this crisis because mom and dad are
Going
either
through a
acclimating,
divorce.
they're going through a divorce, which again, the people bring their traumas and problems to this town, and I think it has some connection to it. I don't know why. These 2 were ready to split up. They were,
Mhm.
and now they're
Well, we
basically they were forced back together and actually end up finding, like a recommitment to each other through the
Mhm.
adversities.
Well, we find out why they were gonna divorce, right? Because
Yes.
they had a baby, Thomas, who ended up dying through an accident that happens, and it sort of just tore them apart. And that's understandable. That would happen to anyone, right? Anyone that loses a child, that's an incredibly
It's a
traumatizing.
trauma.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
like
people divorce in that because I mean, the sharing of a child and that, it's
yeah,
it's someone, that they both of you created and that in that absence and that it's hard to look at the other person and that.
exactly. And then and you see that act, the loss of that child through that person, and not
Mhm.
anyone's fault necessarily. That's just how feelings and stuff happens. That's why
Yeah.
a lot of people go to therapy. Like these are good things to get out. They talk about therapy a lot on the show. The the family, I love that each of them sort of has their own perspective on the town. Like you said earlier, Ethan's sort of going through it like a quest. And I think his mother sort of put him on that a little bit too, because she doesn't want him to be scared of this, terrifying place. But where did I put the thing? Yes. Um so Tabitha and Ethan are sort of together in the first bit, like their story wise are intermingled. Julie, because she's a teenager and because she's so angsty right now because of the things that are going on with her family, she's sort of just trying to find her place and ends up, doing
Basically
her own thing.
leaving them to go live at Colony House,
Yeah.
which the parents were upset about, but she wanted to change
We are
in the
spoiling the
little.
first episode, but nothing
Right.
further.
Nothing further than that.
Yeah, because she wants independence. She wants to feel like what she says matters, and that's such an essential like feeling for any teenager, right? Could you not like that? I know I feel that in her bones when she said that she wanted to live over there. I was like, I knew it. You could feel it. You know that
Yeah.
that's the teenager way, and especially the way her parents were sort of they were sort of like over parenting at this point. Like, and I think it's obviously because of the divorce, but also the situation. But
And not telling them about it either,
yeah,
because she was the one who confronts her mother about it. She's like,
yeah, yeah, she knows. And they're like, I know that this is our last hurrah. That was why we went in the ride. Oh, heartbreaking.
"Mhm."
What I really like about Jim is Jim, because he's an engineer, is trying to come at it methodically. Which goes really into season two. Um, and not really, I don't know if it's there's parts of that in season three, but season two, that's his real main arc. Um, I like that he doesn't want to take everything at face value, and it's hard to like you have to sort of be skeptical in a situation like this. At least I feel like I would, because there's a lot of
Sure.
mythological, not mythological, but um,
I mean, it's a
like
combination
yeah,
of the supernatural
supernatural.
elements,
That's the one.
you know, possibly like, first thing that comes to mind is biblical. People think about, when people talk about this, they wonder if it might be some sort of a purgatory that they are in, an
Yep,
inescapable, like,
the lost
place of
purgatory.
punishment. Maybe they're guilty of something, maybe they're not, but they are sent there to be punished.
The thing that I think went through my mind, and I feel like this might have been going through his mind as well, is like maybe these are robots. Like, could this be like a Westworld situation? Because
Hmm.
you see Boyd shoot a couple of these in the first episode, and they don't move. They're like a Terminator. They just keep on coming slowly.
They
Like,
don't they don't react to it.
yeah. And what human esque thing would not react to that much, pressure getting shot at you?
Of course.
So I I I enjoy this family. I like going through their eyes. And it got more frustrating when they started dividing for me, at least as a viewer, because you're like, I
Hmm.
can see where he's going, but I know you're wrong. I have my feeling. I feel like this person's right and this person's right. Like it's and as the show still goes on, like we still see it through their eyes. Like it's not just Boyd, but it is like really Boyd and the Stephen, like Boyd and the Matthews family as the
Yes.
perspective for
The
this.
Yeah, they really are the protagonists throughout it, and yeah, they do have all these kind of separate paths in that. Like you said, Jim is an engineer in that, and he thinks this is a problem that has a solution to it,
Mhm.
as far as like the town. Tabitha obviously is trying to keep the kids safe, and that, as much as Ethan, thinks of it as a quest and thinks that that there is like a kind of a fairy tale story aspect to it. There are a lot of dangers besides just the monsters, as you
Yeah.
find out very early on in season one to
Mhm.
him. Um, and yeah, the same with Julie. Julie is trying to find her place in the world in that, and in and outside of the family and that, but she still loves them. She's still concerned about them, but as
Mhm.
far as she's concerned, it's fractured, and that fracture ends up putting her into risky situations too.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Um, I'm trying to think of who else would be a main character instead of a secondary character, and I really think it would be Christy and Jimmy, right?
Mm,
Wait, Jimmy?
oh,
Kenny. Why did I say
Kenny.
Kenny and Christy. I think
Yes, Christy is definitely a main character. It's same with Kenny. Kenny is the deputy sheriff. He and his mother and father were caught up in this town.
mhm.
Um, the mother runs the diner.
The father's going through some
El-
Alzheimer's.
Elder issues.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
and
he's in
yeah,
care with Christy, who,
yes,
Kenny loves. Uh
he has the poor Kenny. Yes,
unrequited love for her.
unrequited love
And
for her.
although it's sort of mutual and they talk about it a lot in the first season, but the issue with Christy is that she's engaged back home, so
Hmm.
she could never there's always the hope of going home, and I think that's what Boyd gave a lot of these people, is that there's hope that there could be a way to get home, which
Yeah,
they didn't have before.
once they saw he could secure the town and he was still trying on that, there was an angle of hope,
Yeah.
you know, which, which in some instances, it could also be interpreted as a punishment unto itself, right?
So you're telling me that because of Boyd, Kenny and Christy did not get together. Damn it, Boyd. No.
I know.
um Christy's sort of the medic of the town. She was a medical student who ended up getting trapped here. I don't think we find out why she got trapped, but she did end up getting trapped. Um and like you said earlier, Kenny and his family were on a trip as well, and they ended up getting stuck here, unfortunately. Um I I really enjoyed Kenny's story arc as the deputy, and he sort of comes to his own throughout the whole season. Like he doesn't just seem like a secondary character to Boyd. He ends up becoming his own person. And you know, if Boyd does end up dying eventually, I could totally see Kenny like stepping up. He's such a strong, especially with all the adversity that he goes through, he's such a strong character.
Yeah, like, he does maintain things and that, and like, almost to the exclusion of his own, feelings on the situation. But yeah, you can see that Boyd is mentoring him along in that, and rightly so. In that he knows like the dangers of this place. It's like it could be anybody's final day
Mhm.
on that in that town, and he looks to Kenny and that to hopefully take over for him, and that should the worst happen to him.
And
Uh,
based
yeah,
on how much has gone badly, that could happen at any moment.
yes, it could.
Um,
Yes, it
yeah, and Christy is such an interesting character because, like Boyd, she's relied on for everything. Like, there's no relief for her. Like, and as a she was a third year paramedic student, right? Something like that.
Mhm.
So she wasn't even fully trained, but she had to sort of come into her own just to be this person that could, help people with these limited supplies. I don't even know where they would. There's a medical center there too, I guess. So there are
There was a
some.
medic it's so weird because basically, like, they're you know that their food is kinda, just kinda is supplied to them. As far as medications, it's like they hoard everything they can get from whatever vehicles happen to get trapped in
Mhm.
there, whatever people bring with them. But that's it. Other than that, they rely on whatever poultices or anything that they can make out of the local fauna, and the limited medical supplies that they have, and everything's on her and that from, you know as you find out, and sometimes it's a gunshot wound,
Yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
it's yeah.
Sometimes it's just you know a sprain or something because someone was walking in the woods. Um, I love that Chloe Van Landshoot, who plays Christy, is actually a nurse. So she has
Oh, no way.
Yeah, so she has the actual training to do that. She's Canadian, I believe. She was on Q not too long ago,
Mhm.
but I couldn't listen to the interview because I hadn't finished the second season at that point, and
Oh,
I was just like,
yeah.
"Oh, I will listen to it later," and I will. It's who? Oh, wait, we need to talk about what's his name? The very smart guy, El-
Oh,
um,
Jade.
Jade. Yes.
Yes.
So Jade is another. I like and hated Jade from when I first met him.
He's
he
very frustrating character in that he was basically like a software tycoon who just made a fortune of selling off his big software. He and his best friend were going out to celebrate on a road trip. They got caught in the town. His friend dies, and he is left like with his intellect, like pushing him to try and find a solution, while also his vices that seem to be getting a hold of him all the time because he drinks constantly
drinks
throughout
and
the show.
smokes all the
Yep.
time. But we also find out that he has been he like like the kid. Oh my god, why can my brain not working right now? Like Ethan,
Ethan.
he's also has this connection with the town. He starts seeing visions starting in literally the first day he's there. And that continues on and on. And he has that sort of that manic genius type thing that we see on TV shows, and
Mhm.
then you add on to that the hallucinations and the terrors from those hallucinations. These aren't fun hallucinations. Like let's just put that out into the world. When some of these people see things, they see like bloodied ghosts or people like dying,
Or
or
sometimes swarms of cicadas that come at them.
yeah, or like Civil War soldiers that have like bayonets
Yeah.
through them, and they're just running at you like bloodied, and they're not happy things. Especially Jade. Jade gets, I feel like, the
He seems to
worst
get the worst of
visions.
it, right? And it's almost like the town kinda picked up on him and his intellect, and is kinda putting him through the ringer and that as a way to knock him off balance. I mean, it's like they're offering him a glimpse into it, but it is way too much for him to see. At one point, like, he is seeing yes, he is seeing ghosts.
Mhm.
The people who must have died at some point there, you know? Um, he also gets he get
He sees
yeah,
symbols and
the
other
symbols, yeah, and apparently something that has been torturing other people and that through
through the
that's a
years.
symbol of a circle with these, like, 3 with, like, strange thorns that kinda poke out through the
Yeah.
sides. Yeah,
It
and
looks
he
like
finds it
if
yeah,
you see Doctor Strange's like medallion with the eye, it sort of looks like that.
it does look a little bit like that, doesn't
The
it?
Eye of Agamotto. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
um and like this goes off the theory, like they even talk about in the show, is that maybe this place is punishing him. Like a couple of people are getting punished. Like this is all like, and this feels like he's the first person where I felt like this dude's getting punished by this town.
Mhm.
Like he's getting the worst and the of the worst. Um I I his descent into, it seems like it into madness, but I don't think it is. At times it feels like he is just going down that spiral.
I th I think it's a more of an alternating of, like, his depression versus his manic episodes that kinda drove him to be the success he was in that, but, at the same time, when things do not work out, it's he is just in doldrums and indulges himself even harder
Hmm.
with alcohol.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Ooh,
They
he's such a good character. I really like him in season 3.
yeah.
I like it. Jade we talked about. Um, Sarah and Victor.
Yeah, there are 2 well, yeah, Sarah and Victor are very important characters for the show.
Sarah
Uh
is another person who ends up hearing um voices and seeing premonitions. She's a younger, I want to say 20ish something,
20-ish, yeah.
20 something person. She sort
Yeah.
of seems like this. This seems weird, but like a country like Mormonish type person.
I
She seems very like bookish.
There was some sort of backstory to her about that. I mean, I know, like, the story with her brother was her brother came to kinda get her out of a bad situation and
Yeah.
that might have involved, like, kind of cultish aspects or religious
She seems like
aspects,
a cult, like a person that would get stuck in a cult.
right? But she's, what happens is basically this town, it's not only just the monsters and that, keeping them outside is not always that effective because there is something insidious that basically worms its way into some of the characters' heads and that, and trying to get them to, let these creatures in or make them do things that they don't want to do with the promise of escape. And this is exactly what happens with Sarah as she receives like these messages no one else can see, like basically in the flesh of her own arm.
It's like a siren song too. Like they just like compelling them. Like Boyd says in the first episode, you have kids, you nail these windows shut, because what happens is that it compels them to want to go out and go do things at night, and you're like, no, that's how you die. Don't do
Yep.
it. Um,
Yep.
oh, Sarah is such a tragic character, that we can't talk about.
Yeah, I know.
Details are
Let's
so
talk.
good. Victor is the longest living resident of this community. He's probably about 50ish years old, I want to say.
Yes, considering, well,
Because things.
his lunchbox is 1970s disco,
Was
right?
it? Oh, I didn't.
Yeah.
I just thought that it was like I thought it was like a spaceship like thing, like a.
Uh, I think I saw the words disco on it at some point, but basically
That
he's
makes
been
sense.
like, he was a small child in the 70s when he and his mother and his sister got trapped in this town, and he's been there ever since. And you
Mhm.
can see it in, you know, like in his like mannerisms and his intellectual development and that he never really kind of got past his childhood. That he never matured, he never socialized properly. He was just raised in this horrifying town.
I think Donna was saying that he had been alone for such a long time that it just that's just how he had to like survive and like
Yeah,
develop.
the only way he could adapt and survive.
He's also such an interesting character because he's another person that we find out that is affected by the town because he sees visions, he sees uh beings, he hears things. He measures the distance of the trees
Mhm.
from where they're supposed to be. He knows this town more than we know. He knows things that have happened in this town, and he's so well portrayed by Scott McCord. Um,
Yeah.
there's this sort of innocence to him, but also sort of sinister at the
A
same time.
slight I was gonna say there is a slight malice to him in that, like, it's an air of malice in that, and it becomes very uncomfortable, especially, like, when in his friendship with Ethan,
Mhm.
um, because he doesn't really approach Ethan like a little child in that, it's like a friend, "I just want to show you something," and that,
Yeah,
and places the kid in some pretty dire situations.
but I feel like Ethan and Victor both um, are on the same mental
Yeah,
level, right?
the wavelength, right?
Yeah, yeah. So there's that connection between those two. Um, oh, how else do we talk about Victor? We can't. We can't.
Yeah, I think
We
at
can't.
that point, yeah, you can't really say too much more about Victor and that.
Mhm,
Victor knows the town. He knows a lot of what's happening. He's not forthcoming with a lot of information because of like his trauma.
mhm,
But usually, when something significant is happening, he's the first to know it,
mhm,
and to try and run from the danger.
for sure. And the final. This is gonna be the last. Wait, did we talk about Fatima and?
Not yet, no.
Oh God. Okay, Fatima and Ellis, two people from Colony House. Ellis is the son of Boyd, who is estranged. Um, I don't think we need to talk about more about that. A lot of their relationship is based on him and his dad and events that have caused them the straining to happen.
Hmm.
Fatima is his girlfriend, who's also sort of a hippie and sort of loves everyone.
Kinda. I mean, like, she has a very interesting backstory. Originally she grew up in Iran, I believe,
Yeah.
before coming to the United States.
So the freedom she said that once she was here, like she was free to do whatever, and she did do
Mhm.
whatever. She's living like a hippie. I wonder if they're all at the same time, right? They're not from different times.
No, no, they're not from different eras of
Okay.
that, so you know that there is a passage of time,
Mhm.
occurring with this, you find out a couple seasons later, basically, that time is progressing along. They are not just stuck in some, like,
Pocket
some
universe or something.
yeah, dimensional bubble or whatever and that. There are actually people on the outside who are looking for them.
Yeah, yeah. Fatima, hmm. She's I don't even know how she sort of in the first season, a lot of her was trying to help Julie find a place.
Mhm.
And I think that's the strength of Fatima. She sees the good in everything. She's the one who takes Julie up to the top of Colony House and is like, even a nightmare looks good during the daytime, right?
Yeah, it's something about
Stuff like
basically
that. From the
being able to
height.
look at yeah, from this height and that even like a nightmare looks beautiful.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
she has this unending hope to her. And that's really it was very refreshing in the first season, especially
It,
because a lot of the people were dour and she was always the one who was sort of like uplifting people.
but it really like it's the evolution of her story in seasons 2 and 3 that we're not going to talk about right now, but like, things get weird for her.
Mhm, mhm.
Yep.
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 Finally, the leader
Yeah.
of Colony House, Donna, who's been
Mhm.
there for 3 years, 3 4 years, I believe. She was she's the de facto she's the other leader besides Boyd. So when people are looking for sort of advice, these are the two people that they go to, and she's like a no nonsense woman. I was the first episode where we see her with a shotgun, and they're like close the
I
door
believe so. There was one I remember
and tie
she
them
had
up.
yeah, she had to keep somebody restrained in that. Like, she is tough, but she is also caring, It's
Yeah.
like if she's angry, it's because, she is concerned. She's taken on the role of the den mother for the colony house and all the people that have kind of found their way to them and that. She has to sort out their conflicts and, their different personalities and try and make something work because this is actually I do believe she mentions at some point, it's like part of her does love, like, the little found family that she
Yeah,
has going on there at Colony House, and, she is the one trying to keep that alive.
I think she said it reminds her of her sister, like that type
Mhm,
of relationship. She's also one of the people that have been there longer than Boyd, so she
mm,
remembers the times when they had to hide underneath.
yeah,
She's a phenomenal character. Um,
yeah.
uh, Peter Griffin on YouTube says, and this season when Tabby was out, yeah, we're trying not to spoil the
I know,
seasons.
we're trying to encourage,
People
people
to
who
watch.
haven't seen it to get into the show, and,
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
it's obviously got some kind of an audience, it's like 3 seasons deep already,
Hmm.
and possibly, like, this could go on for at least 5.
I could I could see it going 5. 7 seems like a lot for this,
Yeah,
but
yeah, no, no, there's no show that really does 7 anymore, is there?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Other than that, I think we don't want to talk about any other additions or like there are a lot of people in this town. Let's just say that it's very interesting.
Mhm.
The town itself is a character, right? There's so much. Um, it's very what do I want to say? Unique. Like we did say the colony house sort of looks a like a house on haunted hill type situation. Like it is a scary looking house, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It looks like the Bates Motel, like the Bates
A
house,
little bit. It
right?
has that kinda like that rusticated look to it, like that old style American Gothic, I guess, is
Yeah.
the term for it. It's there's so many elements to the town, and it reminds me of, like, elements of a Stephen King novel, and it's kinda the way it looks like a place out of time,
Mhm.
like that dairy from long ago, but,
But that
yeah.
also adds on to the town, which looks like very 1950s and 1960s ish with the diners and then the
Yep.
motel sign that has no motel.
Yep.
But there's a pool there, so there's some mystery between this, and then just the houses that are lining it, and then a barn, obviously. There's so much character in just seeing the town. Like when you first see it with the Matthews family, you're like, oh, this is like, how did they get in this like little ass end town in the middle of nowhere? Right? It feels
Yeah.
like that at first. You're like, "Oh, it's a town out of time," like you're saying. Ooh.
And also, it's almost like the creatures themselves. They're like a bad facsimile in that, like,
Yeah.
some like almost like something that looked at what a town should look like and tried to recreate it, but not quite right.
It's weird that the creatures themselves look like they're from the 50s and 60s, right? There's no one
Mhm.
more modern than like that. They have like a cowboy guy, they have the nurse with the little triangle hat. Um,
Even redheaded guy, right? He's got that particular kinda but the clothing,
and the
even though it's
haircut.
very yeah, and the haircut and everything, it looks it has that look of it. Like, everything looks like out of time or an anachronism.
Mhm, mhm. So
Yeah.
many mysteries in that. So like I said, there's a lot of comparisons on the internet to Lost and Yellow Jackets, which I did not think about until I saw that in a review. What are your thoughts on this? Like, is it apt to say that this feels like Lost and Yellow Jackets? Like, there are
Sh
aspects.
sure, it's that weird it's how do I describe it? Yes, it is a lot like Lost, and then it plunges like these characters into a situation which looks, like every day, but is not. There is a supernatural element to it, but they don't ever want to call it that. Um, Nobody really knows what to call it,
Hmm.
but they put you in an environment where the rules don't make sense, and along the way, I guess you're trying to figure out the rules for yourself. It was the kind of pit that Lost fell into, It's like we wanted answers so desperately, and that by the end, it's like they couldn't come up with them, right?
Yeah. But they kept on
Uh,
giving you more questions instead of answers and questions. Like, you want to find out something and then satiate for the next thing, right?
this is very similar in that, I will warn people that the further that they look for answers in this, the more dead ends you're going to hit, and the more questions it is going to raise in your mind about what this place is, where they are. Is there a purpose to it, or is there someone, or something behind it?
Hmm. Hmm. This definitely gave me, well, initially, when I started watching this, like, you see the ensemble, they're all amazing. Like that's a good thing to compare Lost to because everyone on Lost was really good in their character, and they're all individual people that were very cool. Like they had really good, interesting backstories. At least I do.
Mhm.
I really like Lost. Like I said earlier, the mysteries in this show remind me of Lost because when we started getting the numbers on Lost, like the 4, 8, 15, 16, 23, 42, there started
Mhm.
like message boards started popping up about these numbers and about fan theories and stuff. Like this is why I want to talk about fan theories at the end of the episode. Like they're the fandom, at least on Reddit and a couple other people places I've seen online, like on social media. I'm not gonna say that fucking uh Twitter. I'll say Twitter and Blue Sky.
Twitter.
Um, a lot of the people on there, like they're just throwing great theories out there, and they're all like they feel like they're great backed up ones where you're like, oh, that makes sense. I understand where you're coming from. Oh, I would love that. Um, Yellow Jackets, I don't see the premise too much, or at least the the comparison, other than it's like they're stuck somewhere, and I guess it is the supernatural because
Mhm.
Yellow
There's very
Jackets.
much supernatural elements to Yellow Jacket.
I keep on
W
forgetting about the whole uh tree thing in
Yeah.
Yellow Jackets, um,
Yeah.
and the cultish things that are occurring because of that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it is. It is sort of like the love, the child between those two. Although I think maybe From came out before Yellow Jackets. I'll have to look up that later.
No, Yellow Jackets came out, I
C-
wanna say actually, I believe Yellow Jackets was like a kind of a
Aren't
pre-pandemic show?
is it because they're just gonna do the
I don't
third season right
know.
now, aren't
I
they?
know, they did the 2nd season. Oh, shoot, I gotta look this up.
All right, Yellow Jackets.
I feel like Yellow Jackets came out first.
Yellow Jackets was in 2021. No, wait.
Yeah.
No, that's not right. Yeah, 2021. Okay, a year before.
Yes, it
But
was
not
a year
too much a
before.
year before. Oh, cool.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
crazy that yeah. Anyway,
But yeah,
eh,
I totally see the comparison with Yellow Jackets in that does have a kind of similar, people from varying backgrounds. It's a strong character ensemble show,
yeah.
which is important. Also reminds, it also reminds me of like kind of like a Stephen King novel, like this,
Yep.
strong characters and that thrown into a situation in which they don't know the rules.
If someone said this was made by Mike McMahon, not Mike McMahon,
Flanagan.
Mike Flanagan, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. This
Yeah.
has that feel too. Like it feels like a yeah, you're right, like a good Stephen King adaptation,
Hmm.
which Mike Flanagan does.
Yeah.
Visually, this show is shot beautifully. Like we're very lucky to have these shows. Like I feel like Lost was one of the first cinematic esque shows on TV.
Hmm.
Um, and it really brought the spectacle, right? And this is sort of like a toned down, like Yellow Jackets still has that spectacle, but this show feels really intimate and scary because it's that intimate, right?
Yeah, because it has that it's got like a solid set and location,
Mhm.
it's like that town, as you said, is like a character. Um, but most of the stuff that you're seeing on screen is all just basically practical effects, right? Which it makes it a lot more terrifying, especially like, the way they with the creatures themselves and that. The like I said, the clothes are kind of are stylized in a particular way, but all the actors and the way they carry that smile, right?
Mhm.
They look human, but
Ugh.
they're also identifiable as those creatures in that because all the actors seem to have adapted a way of smiling that is kind of emblematic of
There,
these creatures, right?
there's also this tone in their voice that's very calm
Oh yeah.
but eerie and like welcoming at the same time. I don't
Mhm.
know how to explain it, but when you hear like when the nurse starts talking and you're just like, but
Mhm.
I could see why someone would be like, okay,
Yeah.
I could go, yeah, 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 maybe I'll
Yeah,
help you.
yeah, maybe I'll let you into the house. Oh god.
Oh, oh, the or like the grandmother, that
Mhm.
one.
Yeah,
Oh,
with the little girl, yeah, that's the opening 5 minutes.
oh my God.
Also, later on, no spoilers in that, but, yeah, the lovelorn guy, uh,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
That's
that.
another thing where I was like, this feels like a 1950s like love story. Like that
Yeah,
that girl felt very much like that.
yeah.
Like,
Him leaving flowers for her and,
oh my god. There's so
spoilers.
many. There's I wrote down are there episode highlights, but I don't want to go into that because there are so many episode highlights in the first season, second season, third season, so much. Um, the production, like we said, is so real, feels real, and I wonder if this is a actual town in Nova Scotia. They filmed this in Nova Scotia, like I said
Mhm.
earlier. I wonder if this is just a town that they use, like, or is
It
this
feels more
built?
like if I believe this is definitely built because, things happen along the way that change the makeup of the town is,
That's true. That's fair.
yeah. No, this definitely feels like a creation,
Unless it is
Yeah.
like a one where they grab random parts of a town to build
Mhm,
this. It's sort of
mhm.
hard.
Yeah.
Although Nova Scotia has a lot of empty land, we don't know.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
All right. Any final things before we want to go into some fan theories?
I think that's, without, getting into spoilers, it's, yeah, you should be watching it. Keep your expectations kinda guarded in that, because as I said, like, w if you're expecting it to lead to somewhere by the end of a particular season, you're gonna be disappointed. It's confusing, it's mysterious, it's terrifying, but the answers are just not quite there yet,
Mm-hmm. 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 Okay.
especially when the rules start changing.
So we're saying this now. Watch the show. We're gonna go with some fan theories. So there might be some spoilers in this. So mark that spoiler esque talk right now. Who knows? We don't know. I like talking about these theories because that's the great thing about this show being a week on week episodic show. You get to talk about this show and you're like, oh my god, have you seen what happened? Do you know what's gonna happen? I can't believe this. Blah blah blah. It's the water cooler talk that we used to have when Lost came out, which I love. Um,
Yeah.
in an age of streaming everything in one day, it's nice to have a weekly release ever so often. Here's theory number one that I've seen. These are all from like Reddit and stuff like that.
Okay.
Because I like going on Reddit a lot, especially with the show. This reminds me of the Lost message board, and it makes me so happy and sad that I'm spending all my time doing this. First theory: the
Okay.
boy in white is Thomas.
Oh, that is a good
S-
theory.
So Thomas is the son of
Yeah,
of
of Tabitha and Jim, the one that passed away
what?
as an infant.
Yeah. So this his spirit has just sort of always been here to help because he knew his parents were gonna come here. His family was gonna come here, so he's sort of just been here the whole time.
He's mysterious. Again, the clothing is very customized to a particular era,
Yeah.
But
But
yeah,
like a white suit though, it's just a white shirt and a
yeah,
white pants though. So it could be timeless. Um the
it
thing that
definitely it definitely looks like like something a child in the 50s would wear,
mm,
like, uh,
I mean,
but I do have to lend credence to that theory because I always thought that the boy looked a lot like Ethan.
he does. I thought that too
Yeah.
when you see him for the first time, you're like, "Oh, they look sort of related." Brent just saw the first episode. We are sort of doing theories and spoilers. He said, "Damn," after the first episode. Yes, watch it all.
Yeah.
Watch it all. Yes. But yeah, we don't want to spoil anything for you, Brent. But yeah, yeah. Um, I like the idea that things have been here always. Like
Mhm.
it's like there's like this returning cycle of things that are just always there. Um, there's big to go off this Thomas idea that he's sort of just there now because he died and wanted to help his parents in the future. Um, remember when Tabitha's like, this bracelet I made, but then it also was Victor's mom also made it as well, and then
That's
they
right.
found it in the town as well. So there's sort of these things that sort of keep going in time. I feel like this is something that
The
could be,
message the messages in the bottles tied to the tree.
yeah.
Think about, like, how that has been, like, the oldest form of communication for people who were trapped on, like, desert islands or
Mhm.
that lost at sea. They would put a message in a bottle and then throw it out, and hopefully it finds its way to some shore.
And Victor's mom made that bottle tree
Mhm.
at home before they came
Mhm.
here. And I don't know if Victor ever mentioned that if that bottle tree was made by his mom, but I don't think it was. the one in the town.
right, but I'd have to go back and review, but I think she was the one because it was in the backyard, right?
Yeah, that was the copy was in his home backyard,
Backyard.
but the
That's
original
right.
one was in like an installation at a park or something like that.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay.
Oh, I like that theory. I like that theory a lot. um, so this is where we get some really big spoilers. Someone is
Cover your
saying
ears, Brent.
there is because of things that are happening right now in season 3, people think that Christy is going to be the next main character to die. Because now they
Ooh.
have a medic now again.
Mhm.
Because Kenny also needs way more trauma in his life.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He needs so yeah, he's
He's
still
the worst. He has the
riding
worst.
too high on all the hope and that he still has.
And because of what happened to her leg, or
Mhm.
something like infects her, because she's healing differently. Like we see with Fatima, like there's something growing inside her, right? That's different, maybe because she's eating
Mhm.
things. They're thinking that
Mhm.
maybe the people that heal more or the people that are new are like they are maybe this is how those others are made. Like they're trying to think like this is it's such a weird theory.
I
It's very
know.
long.
Oh, man.
I don't think she's gonna die personally.
Neither do I personally in that. If
Could you
anything, it's
imagine
like
if she becomes one of the others though?
oh god, my god,
Kenny needs more trauma.
poor Kenny. God damn it.
That actor is so good though.
Ricky He?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's dealing with way too much. Um,
He's
thoughts on this theory? Kirsty dying?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't see her being the next one to go. If anything, it could possibly be the fiance.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we have not gotten much development from her. I like that she's not sort of going through the withdrawal anymore. That's nice.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, like that was our first indication that, there was it's like this wasn't just random, like what was happening with these people. They didn't just randomly wind up in this town,
Hmm.
because her fiance showing up basically out of the blue on the bus.
Yeah.
Um Really kinda, it's like, okay, there's something going on. There's a connection, there's a purpose. They didn't just drop her here for nothing.
Yeah. The Brent just started episode 2.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a
Yeah, we
couple
already
theory there's a couple theories I'm gonna skip because I don't like them. This one
yeah,
I really like.
okay.
Elgin is Ellis's and Fatima's baby, and that the skeleton lady is Fatima.
Oh,
I like if they don't.
I don't know because, okay, the theory on Elgin might be, that's interesting. Like I said, but it does go against, like, some of the principles that I think they were trying to establish, that time is still moving ahead, like, in the world outside of this place.
Mhm.
But
But
then
he could
again,
also escape later in this
that's
time
true because
or earlier. I don't know. Like we don't.
well, we take the trees, because we know they take you to different places, right?
Yeah.
Maybe different times too?
Well, like the dungeon that Boyd was in, right, was there
Yeah.
once, and then it was gone, like it was destroyed,
Right.
right? It was the
And
ruins.
that guy who was, chained to the wall was actually a Marine. We know that from, like, his tattoos.
Mhm.
But
But it looked like he was there for decades,
yeah. Yeah.
somehow alive. I don't know.
I mean, okay, so the Elgin theory does have some clout to it. They I'm still confused about the woman, the shriveled woman who appears to him because it's the kimono she wears.
Yeah,
What is that supposed to mean?
I don't know, but she looks like Fatima. When I first saw her, I was like, "That is like a disheveled Fatima."
Hmm.
It looks like her. I thought that when I first saw it, and then when I saw this theory, I was like, "Oh, I like this one." So it could be his mom being like, "This is how you help us, help." And she did say, "Help
Yeah.
me" in the last episode.
Yeah. Yep.
Hmm.
That's a
Oh,
good theory.
I like it.
Yeah.
This one I like too. Randall is right about the town, and the person that the mole is Tilly. Tilly's that old hippie lady, the the one with the cards.
I've been super suspicious of Tilly, ever since that theory was brought up by Randall, that there was, possibly that there was somebody in the town who is a plant, like a mole.
Mhm.
And my suspicions have landed on Tilly.
Yeah, so you're definitely down on this.
Yeah.
I like that too. She does seem sketchy, right?
But she also seems a little too accepting, like when she was the first one to discover Fatima's secret, right?
Yeah. The
And, she was like, "It's just," and she calmed her and comforted her and talked her down and that. She didn't freak out. Like, there's a lot of people have no problems freaking out when something unusual happens, right,
yeah.
in this town. Yeah. She's been calm, collected. The introduction of the tarot cards, and then that person, was asking, he's like, "Why the hell would you ever do a tarot reading for somebody in
Yeah.
this place?"
The thing that really weirded me out was the first time I really recognized her on the show, and it was in the second season when she's introduced and she's
Mhm.
dancing in the rain when they first arrive. I was like, she's way too happy to
Yeah.
be here.
Yeah.
Um, Although I guess I don't know. It was the dancing in the rain. I was like, that's odd. That's really just a little off.
Also, like, one thing that made you know but remember when it's like if Christie's girlfriend showed up
Mhm.
or fiance came back, and then we see Tilly and she, gave over her morphine to Christy, right? Which
Mhm.
just so happens to coincide with her fiance and that who has addiction issues.
Mhm. Mhm.
She's there at key moments for people throughout like what's happening there. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm very suspicious of Tilly.
Yeah. I have been too. All
Yeah.
right. All right. Good. Good.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, this one is I'm just gonna read it straight from here. Um,
Okay.
the titles From's monsters, the monsters from are actually fairies. Um, so
Oh, like the old school fairies.
like old schools. So there's a theory on Reddit that says that the monsters are the slaw Sluagh, which are fairies from Irish mythology. So
Mm.
these these fae, draw people into a separate fairy world. They have connection to blackbirds. They steal the souls of the dying and sad, and can be evaded by staying indoors after dark. They are also torturous when hunting for pleasure.
That's that's really a perfect description of what's happening
Yeah,
with those things.
like old school grim fairy tale mythology. Like they yeah 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 yeah. That's a very good theory.
Okay. Wow, that was very well researched.
Yeah.
Had the producer's been asked about that because like,
I've not seen you know what? I never listened to any interviews by the production team, and I really should because
yeah.
I would love to hear how this got like came to be. Like when we hear J.J. Abrams talk about the beginning as a Lost, there's a Lost documentary that's coming out in theaters on November 3rd, and I
Oh,
can't wait to see it. The only person who's not part of the documentary is Matthew Fox. He's
okay.
sort of like Avery Brooks. He just doesn't want to deal with it again. He's
Fair.
one of those. He's like, I moved on. I don't need to
Yeah.
talk about this. And everyone else
Did
is
he
back on the
did
show.
he move did he move
I
on
don't know what
or
Matthew Fox has done since. Has he done
I don't
anything?
know.
He
Not
did.
really. I think he kinda, like, was people kinda not canceled, but, it's like, "Yeah, we're done with you, Matthew Fox."
He was really good in the Speed Racer movie.
Oh, I never saw the Speed Racer movie.
It's weird and stylized, but that's what I liked about it.
Yeah.
Let's see, what is
What
this?
the Wachowskis.
Um the one that you said, and that where is it? That that Boyd's wife said is that they're actually, you know,
In a Dream.
in a dream, and that the only
Yeah.
way that they can wake up is by dying. And this sort of comes like out because of like Tabitha getting pushed out a window and dying, and then waking up
Mhm.
outside. Like that's a good. People are saying
Yeah,
the
I've
From
been
characters
ve
are dead or in comas. That's what people are saying.
yeah, I was very suspicious about that. I mean, like, I think there is something to it. it's not so much that, like, because she was found after, like, there was a elapsed period of time, she left, she was found. We know that when she was back in the real world, I hope nobody who hasn't seen it is listening right now, but, like, that, they're all the people that she knew and met, they are on somebody's missing list,
Hmm.
because she goes through the internet records and finds, it's like her and the rest of her family, the people are still looking for them, and that she contacts, her mother, and her mother, it knows that they are missing. Um, God, what was I saying? The fact that I don't know.
Boyd's wife was right.
Yeah,
She was killing people.
this could possibly be a dream. It's an almost too easy answer too, but there is something to that,
Yeah.
that the people who, we have lost along the way and that, might actually find themselves in the real world at some point. I don't know. We'll have to find out. I don't think we'll find out anything like that until season 4, you know?
Yeah. Or even further.
Yeah.
Uh, um, this is a one I don't really understand. But they're saying that the symbol that Jade sees, so that the
Yep.
circle with the that we find out our roots, is also a map to the faraway trees.
Really?
Yeah, and because the town, I'm reading it now and it's very confusing. Um, because there are different versions of the symbol, they're all sort of the same, but the town seems to be shifting, and so you can go with the different not the talismans, but the different symbols to find where these trees are. I don't know where they got with this.
Okay, because we do know something that, Victor measures the trees and that, and that, we do know that for some reason the trees are moving, right?
Hmm.
I think so. Um, that's a good theory. I don't really have too much to add on to it in
I
that
don't I
because
don't understand how they came to this theory.
that it's a map
I like
to
the
the
idea that maybe there's a way to figure out these trees, or maybe these like the certain ones that they go to, or it's at the certain spot
Mhm.
that's the one that takes you to the lighthouse, or this one takes you to this one spot. That'd be
But
interesting.
I don't know that they work that way. I think it's different for everyone who uses any particular tree, It's like,
You
we
go
saw
where
what
you
happened.
need to go,
Yes, exactly. You go where you need to go,
or where the
We
town
saw.
needs you to go. Oh,
Yeah.
that
You remember how dunzo we were with him?
that like the CG that they did for that was so good and so painful. Oh, the look on Donna's face, man. Um, this one I like. This is a good theory because I thought this as soon as we saw this. So because we've seen other establishments, like dead establishments in this area. So we saw the colony house where they're getting the vegetables and stuff, right? We see a
Mhm.
lighthouse. People are theorizing that we're gonna find another town with people.
Hmm.
I like that idea.
It's an interesting
It would be like the
idea.
others in Lost.
That's true. But I mean, what happens at that point? I mean, they're still basically trying to find out what's happening in the outskirts of their own town, and that they're very limited by, like, the day and night cycle,
Mhm.
and as far as how far they can actually get. Um,
I like
we
that
do
Boyd
know,
tried with the tent and they got dragged by the something.
yeah, something we don't even know what the hell that was.
Mhm.
But the idea that there could be some sort of an opposing town, like,
Or there's other establishments that they.
right? Interesting.
Yeah.
I
I
don't
mean
know.
I mean they had that one town with the vegetables already, which is much older, right?
Like when Kenny and Jim go out looking expeditioning for food when,
And they find
things.
that old abandoned town with the skeleton things.
That's true. Because it's like it's weird because we know they can't leave, like any sort of transportation they use, they can't leave in that, but they do get pretty far outside of the town through the forest, don't they? Yeah, and they are finding like older remnants, but I mean, given the history of everything that's going on there, it's like you're seeing, Civil War guy and that, like,
Yeah.
yeah, I like that theory.
I like that. I hope it would be neat to see like another town that has been sort of establish like their town.
Mhm.
Like, and then there's sort of that you could have that play where like maybe these people are the people that are part of the other like the monsters, and that'd be interesting. There's a lot of play this season about making the town scared during the day, and I think having a whole town of people show up would definitely
Oh, yeah.
cause that.
Because it and also, after recent events involving, Randall, I think that like that whatever is controlling the events of the town is taking a different ploy in that we know like it's that people are susceptible to manipulation,
Yeah.
through like scary like supernatural psychotic episodes and that. Um, they do try and turn some people against each other in that. It's like they managed to turn that one guy against Lloyd, unfortunately,
Hmm.
back in season two. And with Randall, something's changed there, because Randall should have been a goner, right? But they didn't. But they also know Randall is a hothead and angry. And, watching Boyd basically abandon him, it felt set up, it's like here, you know, dangling the keys at him and that and letting him go as long as they could take Randall. That creates a major conflict. I think, that is, something that's going to come to a head at some point in
Hmm.
season three.
Here's the last one.
Okay.
This is the chromonautical theory. That's the story that
That's got to play a part in
that
this.
Ethan? Yeah,
Yep.
Ethan knows. This so the Chromonacle visits the cave of the Lonely Dragon. He gives her a map and she isn't lost anymore. So that's the story. That's part of the story. People are
Okay.
thinking that Tabitha is the Chromonacle, so she's the hero. And that Victor is the Lonely Dragon, since his room has so many drawings, like there's maps and stuff there that they don't even know. Um, so the theory is that Tabitha is the hero of the story. Victor is gonna help her, and his room is the cave where the map to figure out how to get out is, or to solve more of the mystery.
Good theory. Very good theory. Because like, we know Victor is important, even though it's like its own trauma kind of keeps him from offering more
Mhm.
information than he's capable of.
He has
Uh,
been. He said that it's easier for him to draw things to remember that way, so he doesn't
yes.
forget. So that's interesting.
Yeah. Like we see through his drawings and that, like, prophecy and that, but we know that's also connected with the mother because like the mother used to draw portraits of the place before they even arrived.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is an interesting theory that's got to come into play because yeah. Yeah.
Yup.
Okay.
Yup. Yeah.
Yep, yep, the Lonely Dragon.
And especially since Tabitha is the one person that has gotten out,
Mhm.
and then she's back, right? With
Yeah, everybody else's efforts have all kind of been futile, including Boyd's to a certain extent, but, like, Tabitha, yeah, was the one who got out. Um, and she just doesn't have any answers as to how.
I mean, I think the purpose she served her purpose going through there,
Mhm.
and I think we're gonna see the boy again, the boy in white, right?
Most definitely.
Well, I meant for her especially. I think that she needed
Yeah,
to
that
do that to get Victor's
because
dad and to maybe get the cop. I was silly enough to think that, oh look, they have two paramedics to come and join Christy and her girlfriend
yeah.
and help out with the town. Nope, 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 nope.
Nope.
Silly me, silly me. Um, but yeah, I like the idea that Tabitha has a bigger role to play. Like she had already
She
a big thing that has happened to her, but I like that she's going through this spiritual journey,
Yeah,
right?
no, she's a very important character to the series.
Because
And
she didn't really do anything in season one, right? From what I remember.
nothing that stood out in the way, because everything kind of revolved around Jim and that and his explorations and that when he was trying to set up, the tower,
Mhm.
trying to get a signal out because, that's, what they do.
Spoiler.
Um, mostly, I mean, she was kind of consigned. Well, what happens to her at the end of season one. She has that kind of same, you know, need as her husband for an answers and that.
Yeah.
But maybe more so because she seems to be, for some reason,
I think she connects to the town more than Jim,
More
right?
than that, yeah,
She
yeah.
her and Ethan seem to connect the most, and
Yeah,
now
Jim's looking for too much logic in it, and
yeah.
she's it realizes that it's not it might not be about themselves and that it might be about something that they have to undo for something else.
Let
Because we never gotten the full story on what happened with the kids and that.
mhm. Could you imagine it is actually like the Irish fairy thing?
That'd be great.
Like like
I gotta look that up now
yeah,
because that's yeah.
it's I don't think I've seen a show this serious go that like mythological. And that would
Mhm.
just be amazing. Like, could you imagine if they bring more like mythology into this? Oh, and make it scary?
Yep.
Cause because fairy tales are scary, man. Like we were talking about like the Greek mythology the other day with giraffe, right? And
Mhm.
how people like the interpretations are very heroic now, but a lot of it is very shitty, right?
Oh, sure.
So
Uh,
it that's why I like chaos a lot.
my favorite thing, uh, I I read in years ago in The Sandman was, when what's the saying? The guy in the green suit, Fiddler's Green.
Yes, yes.
He was talking about fairy tales and the old versions of the fairy tales and started telling Rose about the old version of, the big bad wolf.
Yeah. Yeah.
The wolf came in and ate the grandmother and Riding Hood came in, take off basically take off that, throw it in the fire. You won't need it anymore, and then ate her at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
No, the old version of the fairy tales were like, they were meant to frighten and, terrify little children.
Yeah. To make
And
them good.
usually it to make them good and also, make them aware of dangers and that, both
Yeah.
seen and unseen.
Oh, so good. Do you have
Yeah.
any theories that you have for the show? I I I
Yeah, I
don't
know.
I don't have any at this moment because I like a lot of these things. I really
These
like
are
the
all good theories and that, but, like, mainly, I think, like, the theory that, like, they are dragging part of their problems into this place and that there's a connection between these people that they might not be aware of at this point,
Mhm.
but, it is a manifestation of trauma, this place,
For
you
sure.
know?
I agree
Um,
with that 100%.
yeah,
I feel like a
yeah,
lot of what they're going through is something that they're trying to go through these traumas, right? Something to help
yeah,
them through.
but
Maybe
also
not help them, but like maybe
very specific name checking in that, where, like, remember when Boyd and that with the girl in that who was made to watch? Um,
oh man, that was
but
heartbreaking.
their names were their I think it was their first names were
It
the
was
same
her
were the
name
same
and
as
the boyfriend, her boyfriend's name, right? Where like
yeah,
the was the first soldier that he saw die on his first tour. Like the the coincidence of this place.
yeah, and how
Like
in
I feel like
that
Charlie
them
Day in the the board, and you're like,
who the hell is Felipe? What's oh god, I trying to remember that Felipe something.
oh, I don't know. Yeah. Oh man, like I I love this show. Like
Yeah,
I love this show like I love Lost. That's like I wait for the episode to drop and I'm like, I'm gonna watch it right now. Like
yeah,
and I yeah. It's such
yeah.
a good show and I hope people can find it because it's on such a weird streaming
I
thing.
know, I know. It's like thankfully, like it's getting harder and harder for certain shows, right? I mean, for us, I'm watching this on Prime
Prime, yeah.
with a Paramount Plus subscription, it's like that adds up, that's cost-wise, it's not great,
And
but
yeah. And I
at
can
the
we could also in Canada, apparently we have also an MGM channel that because
Mhm.
you can add channels to Prime because it's like
Yeah.
TV.
Yep.
MGM is a channel now there, so you can get the channel. So you can get the channel and then watch it on demand because you have that channel.
Yeah.
Isn't that confusing? That's such a confusing
I
way to watch TV.
I know, and, and, like, really,
Yeah, yeah,
for the average consumer, obviously, and that, but,
yeah.
if you can, you should, if you're a fan of Lost, if you're a fan of horror, this is this is your Reese's Peanut Butter Cup.
I can't add anything to that. That's perfect. Um, yeah, this show comes on Saturdays, right? Sundays,
Sundays they drop the new
Sundays.
episodes. Yep.
So you still got a couple more days until the next episode comes out, and these are nice short seasons. They're like 10 episodes each. So
Nicely compacted in that. There's a lot of episode to each episode. So
these are all like hour episodes.
mm.
Nothing. I don't think any of the episodes that I've seen have any filler. Like they're all
No, they
pretty
all contribute
concise,
something.
right?
Yeah,
Um,
they all contribute something to like what happens next.
to the overall story. Yes.
Hmm.
Yes. Oh, I can't wait. Especially after last week's episode, I'm just like, I don't know where they're gonna go, and I love that I don't know where I'm gonna go. I can't wait to see the next episode. Hawk, thank you for coming on and talking about From, this show that
No,
we both randomly started watching at like the same week.
my pleasure.
Like I was so happy when you said From, because like, oh my god, I have someone I can talk to From about, because I don't know anyone that watches this show, but now I know Brent
No.
as well.
Yep.
So maybe we'll do a season 3 review by the end of this. Yes.
Yep. He should be all caught up by then. So yeah, let's do a season 3 review.
I gotta do an Until Dawn review because we have that to review. I'm trying to think of, we have in 2 weeks, we're gonna be still in October? No, we're gonna be in November.
We are going to be in November in 2
Jeez,
weeks.
so,
Yes.
so we'll see what happens in November. There are some in 15 days. There's a pretty big thing happening in the States. So I don't know. Maybe we do an election thing. No, maybe not. What even
No,
is it from anyway? Says Dave on the chat. We don't know. They don't explain it on the show, but you should watch it. It's so good. I don't think there's any movies coming out though. Where you're gonna. Is there anything coming out soon? Nothing. Arcane is coming back, which I'm really excited about.
That's right. Isn't there a new season of Legend of Vox Machina
It's
coming?
on. It's happening. It's on right now.
It's
Like
on right now,
we
right?
have
Yeah.
we have 6 episodes already.
Oh
So
Lord.
we're almost done the season. We should do Vox Machina in 2 weeks.
Yes, we should.
Yeah, let's do that. Season 3. Oh, we go Agatha. Agatha's ending too.
Agatha.
Shit.
Yes. Yes.
And the Penguin. Oh my god, these are all good shows that we have
There's
to talk
there's
about.
quite a few episodes of The Penguin I have to catch up on.
In 7 days, the most important day of the year is happening. What's in 7 days? What's in 7 days, Dave?
The 28th?
What's on the 28th?
No idea.
Oh, Dave. What's on October 2? October 28th. What is happening? I don't know. Vox Machina is great. Oh, Venom. Venom is in...
Oh, Venom, right. Okay.
I sort of want to see it.
I know.
I saw the second one at home because I didn't like the trailers, but the third movie looks very crazy, and I like Null as a character.
Yeah, that might be a real draw for this one. You know, who knows? It might could end up being like the best one out of all of them.
Oh, it's Dave's birthday.
Oh,
We definitely got to do something then.
Yes, we do.
Venom. Maybe we do Venom. You know what would be crazy is if that's the movie where they're like, maybe we should start melding into the MCU. Right? They're doing all that multiverse stuff now. Oh man.
They did. They were connected to Spider-Man No Way Home.
And there's rumors that Spider-Man 4 is going to be another multiverse movie. So with Andrew and Toby. Yeah.
Ooh.
Well, don't make me come in there. Yeah. You could, but we're gonna go off anyway. Anyway, so that's it. We'll figure out something in a couple days. Yeah, by a couple days when we're back. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Hawk, for coming and talking about From. Thank you out there for listening to us talk about From. Go watch From wherever you can. Just go watch it. Just watch it. Yeah. Okay. Bye. Bye. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Well, that's it for us this week on Geeks with Kids. If you want to get a hold of us, you can send us an email at podcast@geekswithkids.ca. And don't forget to like us on Facebook at facebook.com/geekswithkids. Follow us on Twitter at geekswithkidscn. Check out our pics on Instagram at geekswithkids. And you can find all of this good stuff on our website at www.geekswithkids.ca. So if you like what you hear, why don't you hit that subscribe button and leave us a comment. This podcast can be found on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, YouTube, and your favorite podcasting app. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.